Last time we talked about calling people and they didn't answer, or people calling you and you're not answering. But there's a phone call that I do not answer on purpose, and that is from spammers or scammers. I actually have an app that will look at some of my calls and kill them or delete them before they get in, and it will tell me spam or scam call. Well, in Proverbs chapter 9, we see Lady Folly. Chapter 8, we saw Lady Wisdom. Let's check it out in our verse today in our series, Get Wisdom. Hello, everybody. Mr. Brown here with Proclaim Ministries, and this is the series Get Wisdom. I've been trying to make these videos shorter and shorter, but I get all excited and get caught up and be taking them too long. I'm trying to make them short, so hopefully this will be a short video. Whatever the case, I'm glad you're listening, whether you're listening through our podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or on our website, proclaimministry.com. But today's verse is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 17. Stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. Now, this is not something we are ascribing to necessarily. It's a truth, but it comes from what this passage calls the Woman of Folly. Let me read it to you. Start at chapter 9, verse 13. The woman of folly is loud. She's seductive and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house. She takes the seat on the highest place in town, calling for those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. She says this, whoever is simple, let him turn in here. And to him who lacks sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, and that their guests are in the depths of Sheol. And so this verse is kind of one of the ones I picked because I think it's so true. Stolen water is sweet. In the context, Lady Folly or Woman of Folly is saying, hey, come on, this is going to be so good for you. This is what you need to be doing. And I believe in the context here, because of, they were talking about water the other day and really using that as to identify with sex. And this is the woman of folly, again, calling to those who are naive to come in and be with me. So I think this has some sexual overtones to it. But the idea, in principle, we can gather anyway, that stolen water is sweet. Sometimes when you get something that's not yours, it's kind of sweet. Like you went into the kitchen, got something that you weren't supposed to get there on Thanksgiving. Like, mom was cooking, she had her eyes turned. You grabbed that little piece of meat and she didn't find out about it. Oh, that meat tastes so good because you weren't supposed to have it, right? It wasn't really for you, but it tastes so good. But the other side is the interesting part. Stolen water is sweet, and stolen water is sweet, but bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But there's always this big but. When you get something that you're not supposed to have, understand there's a but. I like to put it this way. Just because you didn't get caught does not mean you got away with it. There are consequences. And so I think we can learn from this proverb that even though stolen water is sweet and bread taken in secret is pleasant, there's a big but there. And the but says this, he does not know that the dead are there and their guests are in the depths of Sheol. So there is a consequence that follows when you take things that are not yours. They're not for you. They're not at the right time. And that's the thing. Sometimes things can be good, but they're not at the proper time. Therefore, that makes them bad. It is not for you. Other things that are not for you and never for you, but yet you still have access to them. But understand, there may be some consequences come along with that. So however you apply this verse, whether you look at the sexual overtones that I think that are present there because of the other verses that he may be telling the son, hey, stolen water is sweet, and the Lady Folly, I think that's there. But I think the general principle is, don't get stuff that don't belong to you. If it's not yours, it ain't for you. If it ain't for you, it ain't for you. Don't try to get stuff that ain't for you because there's consequences. Come along getting stuff that ain't for you. It ain't for you. Don't get it. Even though it may be fun to sneak around and get it when people don't know you got it, there's always consequences. So understand our verse today. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 17. Stolen water is sweet, but bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But I like verse 18. But he does not know that the dead are there and their guests are in the depths of Sheol. So think about that. Read again this whole chapter. The purpose of this series is not just you focus on one verse. Yes, we're looking at one verse, but we want you to mine. We want you to dig. Look for the treasures in the book of Proverbs. Again, get wisdom. My son says it much better than I do. Maybe I should have him say it at the end because he does it much better than I do. He said, get wisdom. So get wisdom.